Of Brown Girls Do Ballet. Right. Which is a philanthropic organization you started. We're going to talk more about it, but I'll give the bio here. It really started with an Instagram movement and started in 2013, doing personal photography focused on this issue of trying to highlight more girls of African, Asian, East Indian, Hispanic, and Native American ancestry in ballet. I can't wait to dive in. You may not know this. My mom was a professional ballerina. I did not here in Austin and had a dance studio. So I think what you're doing is really phenomenal. So we're going to talk a lot more about that. And then to my left here is Brett Bowden, El Capitan. I want to know why you called yourself that, right? Rather than just CEO, we had to go for bigger, right? With Printed Threads, which has been a longtime partner of Visit Fort Worth. Brett launched the Voyage of Printed Threads out of his garage in 2010. And now you have this wonderful presence just outside of downtown and near Southside Fort Worth. You've been navigating the high seas of custom merchandise ever since. I like that. We're going to have you write my bio. This is more interesting than what mine says. His mission is plain and simple: to help people, whether it's through his careful craftsmanship, sharing his wealth of knowledge with his peers in the industry, or investing in the growth and development of staff. And I would also say of Fort Worth. You've been a huge partner in a variety of efforts, so we appreciate that. So we're going to dive right in. Let's just focus on each of you. Tell me about your business and your mission and your why you're doing what you're doing right now. TaKiyah, I'll start with you.
Awesome. So I started Brown Girls Do Ballet as a personal photography project back at the end of 2012, and created an Instagram more or less just to keep the parents abreast of the photo project that I was shooting, specifically looking at underrepresented populations in classical ballet around the DFW Metroplex, Houston, and Austin. The Instagram quickly gained steam after I created it for the parents and continued to go viral. I learned very quickly that viral means that you don't sleep, so I haven't slept in almost 10 years. I look pretty good for somebody who hasn't slept that long. But there was a call to action after, I would say, about the second city for me to do a little bit more. My background before starting Brown Girls and before becoming a photographer was a public school teacher for 18 years. And I always knew how to connect young people to whatever it was their purpose or calling happened to be. And I decided to do that with Brown Girls. So now Brown Girls is a full-fledged 501c3 organization that offers support and resources to young dancers of color. We do that in a variety of ways. We have scholarship programs. We have a supply closet. We offer college scholarships. So many outreach programs, and we are excited to be in the city of Fort Worth and booming and growing like wildfire. So it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, clap for that. It's fantastic. And Brett, tell us about, so you started in your garage in 2010. Did you ever dream that your company would become such a big enterprise in Fort Worth and beyond?
Yeah, so we started Printed Threads in our family's garage on Red Velvet Road, which I always like to tell that story because it sounds like you have to get there by sailing a sea of swirling, twirling gumdrops to get there. But no, it's been an amazing ride, and we set out to start a company just to make ends meet because I was working a job that I didn't love, and honestly, the only reason we started the company is because I wanted to have a job as a teacher. And when I graduated college in 2009, no one was hiring for teachers. And so we started the business, we started making lots of t-shirts. And what we didn't realize at the time was t-shirts were a vessel that connected you to lots and lots of people, because everyone that I see here is wearing a shirt, which is good. Means you probably won't get kicked out. And that means that t-shirts are sold by bars, they're sold by restaurants, they're sold by churches, they're sold by bands, they're sold by all kinds of people, and it really connected us. And what I really wanted to do is help people and teach people and educate people. And as we were able to grow a business, it allowed me to be able to get into an industry and educate people. And not only do we have a thriving business in Fort Worth, but I've probably helped educate thousands of other screen printing shops, including other screen printing shops in Fort Worth. And so I believe a rising tide lifts all boats, and what I want to do is make sure that we have a lot of thriving businesses in Fort Worth.
So both of you started your businesses in Fort Worth, but why? Did you both have connections to the city, or did you choose Fort Worth specifically?
I'm a Fort Worth girl through and through. I was raised in Fort Worth. If you're from Fort Worth, I started at Van St. Gwen Elementary School. My kindergarten teacher was Daryl Orton. If anybody knows him, tell him I'm looking for him. And I finished at Pascal. I thought I was going far. I went away to Denton, to North Texas for my bachelor's degree, and then came back right down the street from my high school and graduated with my master's from TCU. So my roots in Fort Worth are very strong. I knew when I was thinking about coming back and creating something that would outlive me, it would always be in Fort Worth. I've known that since I was in the 4th grade at Mitchell Boulevard Elementary School. And what is so important to me now is that I'm in the zip code that I was raised in. I'm 2 blocks over from the elementary school I started in. I'm 2 blocks over from my grandmother's house. I want to do things in my community, the community that raised me, and I'm so excited that it's coming full circle and I'm actually seeing this dream realized, because I would have loved something like what we're doing for myself when I was in elementary school, and I love the fact that we are able to do that now. So
What about you, Brown?
I was born in Fort Worth, and I've been all over. I toured in rock bands for some years, and so I've seen a lot of the world, and even my wife and I have traveled. We bought an RV and traveled across the country with our family for 1.5 years, and in that time we've just seen a lot of the world and seen a lot of the United States, but lived in California. I met my wife in Denver. We lived there for 6 years. But when it was time to raise a family, we came back to Fort Worth. And we actually lived in North Fort Worth for a while, which some people might call that Keller. But we paid Fort Worth taxes. But as soon as we moved to downtown Fort Worth, I don't think we've ever felt more at home, because being a part of the community in Fort Worth, it just feels like such a tight community, and it's a beautiful place, and it's a wonderful place to raise kids. It's a really friendly and clean place, and we're just really happy to be there.
Both of you established your businesses around the time that Fort Worth more broadly kind of discovered the importance of embracing an entrepreneurial spirit and really investing in the next generation of small businesses. It wasn't always our reputation, right? And I think we've done better. I mean, I'm wearing today a hat by a woman named Brittany Cobb. Fleece Style is her company, and I'm wearing another pair of boots by another female entrepreneur, Lizzie Bentley, City Boots. So Fort Worth has all these wonderful stories to tell about entrepreneurs in our city, but what are we not doing that frustrates you, for both of you from very different industries, that you think, man, I've seen this in other places or in my travels, what could we be doing better in Fort Worth to help support entrepreneurs? You're not shy, I know.
Oh, cool! I didn't know we get to talk crap. No, I mean, there needs to always be a place for entrepreneurs to come together to learn from each other, and I don't know that there's a great place for that. And I know that we've got great places for community to come together, like a chamber of commerce or places like that, but those entities aren't based around really bringing community together for the sake of community learning how to build a business better. They're really built for bringing more business into Fort Worth. And so I think that we need to learn to nurture businesses that are in Fort Worth like, how do we build the foundation of businesses in Fort Worth and create stability of that foundation before we start building on top of it?
Yeah, that's good feedback. What about for you?
I agree. One of the things I have liked about being in Fort Worth, because for a while we had moved to our offices to Dallas, is it's a big city to me. It's a big city, but it does have a hometown feel. I wish there were more opportunities for business owners to come together and kind of trade ideas and learn from each other and collaborate.
There's a few things that we're doing right now as the city to help further that investment. CEFI Friendly America is here. We're doing this collaboration with Main Street America and a real investment in small business. I wondered, and those of you that are not from Fort Worth, that you try to build a business in other cities, how hard it is to cut through red tape just to get through the planning process in the city.
Very hard.
Right, and so we need a small business liaison to really help hold hands with a company. Where I learned recently, for those with Panther City, you can attest to this, it's about $200,000 investment now on average in American cities to start a restaurant, to have an idea that you want to grow. And I want us to think differently about that in our city to help support the next generation of small businesses. So, okay, I want you both to think about in your careers in the last several years, especially during COVID, what were the high points and the low points that you experienced? Because I know there were plenty. Start with you, TaKiyah.
I think this is my first time saying this publicly because I felt bad saying it in private. We didn't have any low points during COVID.
That's good. That's good.
People being at home, forced. We were able, I'll put it like this: people being at home and on their cell phones and trying to find ways to get involved in things that were outside of their home really catapulted us to where we are now. So we didn't have a low point in that way, but I mean there were little bitty things that happened along the way. Like one of our moves back to Fort Worth was because of COVID and losing our space in Dallas and that sort of thing. But it wasn't a negative thing. It happened for a reason, and I'm so glad that it did because that's what was supposed to happen. So I don't have. It wasn't a bad thing.
Well, and I hope people realize the investments we make in arts, especially, are so vital to the way we interact with each other. And the vitality of Fort Worth was definitely, and I think when we were disconnected from that, hopefully you've seen that reinvestment in the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. We were already somewhat operating in the digital space because that's how we started. And so it just kind of made, we were the stage, if that makes sense. So instead of leaving your house to see a performance or to see a dancer, you were able to open up your phone and see it. And we were still able to create that content from our homes and from our office. So it worked out for us.
What about for you, Brett? Probably a very different experience. How did you weather COVID in your own company?
Well, the beginning of COVID obviously was very stressful, but what it created was a quiet time to really contemplate and innovate. And I think what we did was we sat back and thought about who we are and what we wanted to do with who we are, and we created opportunity. We looked at who we are as a business and what our why is, and our why is helping people. So what we did was we created fundraisers, and we created these fundraising stores, and we launched stores for all kinds of businesses across the country and a lot in Fort Worth. And what happened was we raised money for businesses like Fossil Rim. We raised enough money for Fossil Rim to feed their animals for 3 months. And so we did all these things for businesses, and we created a concept for people to copy all across the nation. Like I said, we taught all kinds of businesses across the nation to print. And a lot of those businesses copied that model. They took our graphics that we created, they recreated them for their businesses, and they raised money for their towns all across the nation. So I think it was a time to just think about what we're doing and realize a way to do it even better and to affect your city in a great way, and to come out using that opportunity in a really positive way.
So both of you have busy lives. You didn't have to come down for South by Southwest. Although Visit knows how to throw a party, this has been a pretty cool experience for everybody. Why do you think it's important to tell your story? Do you hope to inspire other entrepreneurs, or are you more focused on telling the Fort Worth story? Maybe it's both. Right, we start.
I love a good party. I love Fort Worth. I love these people. Visit Fort Worth is such a cool organization. The people that are involved in it are just amazing people. They want to help you. They want to help Fort Worth. They want to tell stories of great people, and just standing next to them makes me happy. So that's a big reason why I'm here. But I do think it's really important to help other businesses, to be around other businesses. I think that we should be, if we've been given any opportunity of success in our businesses, that we should be stewards of other businesses and stewards of our town to help other businesses grow. If I've been given any amount of success and anyone out there is struggling, I want to be on this platform for people to know who I am, so they can come up and ask me a question. And so if I can inspire someone, great. If someone can ask me a question, great. I'm just here.
Thanks for having me.
I agree 100%. I think that's my why and why I'm here. I also feel like you'll hear people from other cities. I travel every weekend for Brown Girls. You'll hear people from other cities say that they feel like their own cities don't support them, and I don't have that I don't have that. That's not what happens in Fort Worth. That's not what's happened for me in Fort Worth. I feel very supported by my community. I feel like there are people around me that I can call if I have a question about something, and I want to be that person for other people. So any opportunity that I get to speak, to share my story, why I'm doing what I'm doing, I know, I always tell people what I'm doing is so much bigger than just ballet. It's about creating a community and a culture of other people, young people, that's who I work with mostly, and young people of color, to be able to get to where they want to go. And I love that my city has been behind me 100% of the way. It's been amazing.
That's great, for sure. So right now, you know that we probably don't do enough of entrepreneurship in schools. And I've talked to a lot of students about this that have big ideas and they want to connect on an entrepreneurial front. And this is a genuine question because we're exploring this right now in the city. What would you think would be most applicable for, especially your high school students that you want to inspire to think about their idea that are completely outside your industries, right? But how do we help apply curriculum in high schools for the next generation of entrepreneurs? Because right now, I don't think we have that channel for them to think about.
Ooh, I feel like I have this conversation a lot, actually. I think that young people are so afraid to fail, and you're going to fail, but you just keep going, you keep trying. And I think if you have enough people behind you that are willing to give you those, there's so many little technical aspects of building a business, you know. Once you get your legal situations taken care of, once you go downtown and you register, those are all things that can be put in a step-by-step curriculum. But it's that part where things, you've done steps 1 through 10 and you have this thing fully formed and you feel like it's not going anywhere. I think our young people need to know that it's okay for you to fail and to regroup. Like you said, COVID allowed you to sit down and kind of really think about where you were going and what you wanted to see happen. I think more young people need to hear that when you're explaining to them or talking to them about what it's like to have a dream, be working really hard at something, have these different iterations of what it could look like, and put it out into the world. It's okay if it doesn't go the way you think it should the first time. Keep going.
I think that's right. I think that society is really hard for children right now. I think that they're all comparing themselves to Instagram and social media and all that stuff, and that's got to be such a huge challenge because they're comparing themselves to things that are fake. I know that it's easy for me to look at Instagram and see another business and compare myself to that and think, oh, I wish I was that. And I don't even know if what I'm looking at is true. And the reality is, like, we fail at things all the time. I've had failed businesses. Like, we've lost a lot of money on really stupid things. It sucks. And we need to be able to, like, talk to kids and tell them those stories. There's no school and there's no teacher in a school that's going to be able to prepare someone to run a business. All you can do is tell kids, hey, your ideas don't suck.
So what's the best piece of advice either one of you have been given in the course of building your businesses?
I'll go first. The best piece of advice I've been given is to get involved in an entrepreneurship group of some sort, a leadership group. So for the last decade, I've been involved in a leadership group with other business owners. And that's just a leadership group that meets once a month, and we all talk about our problems, because no matter what kind of business you're in, you have some sort of service or a product that you're selling. You have employees, you have customers, and so you're all kind of dealing with the same problems. Like, we could all get sued at any minute. You know, we're all walking through those kind of different crises, and so and we're all human. And you can go once a month and talk through those problems. And someone's walked through those problems before. It's like entrepreneur therapy almost. And so I think that's really an important thing to do as an entrepreneur, because you got to talk to someone else that has walked through those problems before.
Yeah.
I think for mine, it's probably been to keep learning. There should be no point in your business where you feel like you've learned every possible thing there is to know. or that you have reached this place and that is the stopping point. The world is constantly evolving, and it's up to you to keep learning as well. So doing lots of research. I try to read as much as I possibly can, even beyond my industry, because we're sort of operating in a really cool hybrid space right now. And so I was really digging into for-profit or nonprofit work, but really needing to look at how for-profits run their businesses as well. And so just keep learning. I think that's the best piece of advice that I've been given.
Awesome. Everybody, welcome Jonathan Morris to the stage. Thank you, Jonathan, for being here. No worries, man. It's so good to see you. So many of you may know Jonathan. You've been busy, right? Just a little bit. So co-owner of Hotel Dryce, which is a fantastic spot in Fort Worth Barbershop, and now a star in the Magnolia Networks focused on entrepreneurism. So we've asked a lot of questions today, so I'm going to dive right in for you. Let's talk about Hotel Dryce for a second, because this was a big idea that you and your partner had, and it was unconventional. You were also in a beautiful neighborhood in Fort Worth that sometimes doesn't understand moving forward. So now that your hotel is open, tell us what that journey has been like.
It's been incredible, and one of the biggest factors in that for us getting to the go on the start line was the community really rallying behind our idea. Fort Worth showed up for us in a really, really big way to let the NIMBYs know that this idea, this dream that we had for a 21-room boutique hotel in Fort Worth, that they wanted it just as bad as we did as entrepreneurs. And so it really put gas in me to continue to get to the go point, get to the start line. And we've now been open for 6 months, and the community has showed up for us in our lobby bar. They showed up for us, telling their friends and family to come stay with us. And so it's been a really incredible journey up to this point.
This wasn't your first business to start. Was Fort Worth Barbershop your first business?
Well, back in the 4th grade, I was pushing bookmarks pretty hard to my classmates. And in high school, I was moving a lot of pirated CDs as well. So that was my first step in time.
Just like in the Columbia House days when you got 21 CDs in the mail for 11 cents or whatever.
We were burning off LimeWire. But no, Fort Worth Barbershop again was another step was my first, step into brick and mortar traditional entrepreneurship, and also the community heard about this idea that we have. Yeah. We wanted to bring something fresh and new to Fort Worth, and Fort Worth showed up for us in an amazing way. 8 years later, still going strong.
That's great. So what has your journey been like? We were talking earlier about best advice you've been given as an entrepreneur. Tell us what you think your best advice you've been given over the last few years.
The thing that I like to tell entrepreneurs are those that are thinking about entrepreneurship is do not wait for the perfect time to start, because it ain't gonna come, right? Jump in before you know how to swim, and lean on people that have done it before. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, and support you, encourage you, pray for you, look out for you, and believe in your dreams just as much. Do the same for others as well. And but waiting for that perfect time is hard.
Never gonna happen. Yeah. Do each of you have a mentor in business that you feel like you call on the most to help you get through even hard times?
I know. Yes, I do. She's been instrumental in me taking a lot of the steps that I did initially. And it's so funny because we just had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and she said, "I feel like you surpassed me now." It's like, no, never that. But she is amazing. Her name is Dr. Kim. She runs an organization called Play Like a Girl, and she has been very instrumental in me and running the organization and the steps that I took initially to get everything off the ground.
What about you, Brett?
Yeah, I find myself even now in a position where I basically own 5 different businesses, and even Printed Threads, our main business, is only about 25% of my time. I'm trying to figure out how do I manage all of these businesses, and there's a lot of employees, there's a lot of money, and making sure you don't make a big mistake. And I've got a buddy that also owns about 5 different businesses, and they're all very high-level businesses. And being able to talk to someone like that has those same experiences and has walked before you to say like, how did you do that? And you know, what was that person's job description? And how do you pay this person? What is their comp plan? And all that stuff. So that you have something to go off of is extremely important.
What about you, Jonathan?
I think about mentorship, maybe unconventionally. I think about mentorship through the lens of anyone that knows something about something that I don't know, I try to lean on them as a mentor.
They become a mentor.
Exactly. So whether that means someone who's just done something that I haven't done that I'd like to do, if I want to know about running a nonprofit organization, yeah, I want to learn that's right. If I want to know more about printing business, I want to build relationships with so I know where to turn. And so I look for mentors everywhere.
What's it been like to be on Magnolia Network? So how did that come about?
It's been really, really cool. I never had aspirations of being on television. And then one day my friend Red Sanders reached out to me. He has a video production company in Fort Worth and said, hey, we're talking to the folks at Magnolia. There's about to start a network. What do you think about doing a TV show? And I said, oh, okay. And 2 years later, we're filming television. But what I've really enjoyed about the experience is, you know, people ask me all the time, what are Chip and Joanna like? They're really sweet, kind people, just like you see them on television. They've allowed us space to just be authentically ourselves and tell stories that are inspiring and uplifting, and do that all while being ourselves. I told them, I'm like, look, y'all, I am not an actor. I don't know how to read lines, but if I can just be myself, I think we can figure it out, and y'all can edit to make it look pretty.
And it's perfect for you because you're getting to tell entrepreneurial stories across the United States, right? You're not just focused on Fort Worth or Texas.
Yeah, we got to travel to several cities to meet entrepreneurs across all different industries. Not all industries, but a lot of different industries, in different stages of entrepreneurship also. And I was super surprised at just how emotional a lot of the stories became, because people were, you know, a lot of them for the first time sharing, you know, their why on camera. And when you get to the heart of, you know, why people have gotten into entrepreneurship, sometimes it can get a little, I even got a little teary out on the episodes, but it's been an incredible experience.
Yeah. So, and been a good showcase for Fort Worth. So we appreciate you being a good ambassador.
Yeah, we got to bring some of my friends on camera. And was like, you know, come to TaKiyah's and film a scene in Fort Worth. I'm like, yeah, so
Yeah.
Got to show the city off a little bit.
So since I get to be influenced to moderate, I'm gonna take advantage of it. So I'm a new mayor. I became mayor in June. What's your top recommendation for me leading a big city like Fort Worth, and what we need to be doing differently in our community? And if anything goes. Who wants to go
We
first?
need more preparation for this.
That's why I didn't give it to you beforehand, because I didn't want it to be real orchestrated.
I like how accessible you are. I'd like for you to always stay that way.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Stay accessible.
I agree with that. I think even kind of going through the primaries that we just went through and seeing a lot of like slander and weird stuff that was going on, and having conversations with people that were like, you know, you can talk to these people, and if you really think bad about someone, why don't you have a real conversation with them and see if they really like that, you know? And so the fact that you guys are so accessible, whether it's mayor, city council, or anybody, you can actually just have a conversation. It's super rad, especially for being such a big city with a small town feel. It's such a great thing. I think for you, I think the importance of this small business vibe. I think the importance of the culture of all these different districts, whether it's Ray Street or South Side or the River District or Sundance Square or whatever it is. the businesses that are in each of those districts need to be thriving for the city to feel alive. And so putting a lot of emphasis on that, I think is really important. Whatever you can do to influence that.
Thanks for giving me some time to think about my answer. I think that one of the things that you can do is really lean into making sure that everybody knows that they can be included in the story of what Fort Worth is becoming, right? I think that Fort Worth for such a long time and always just been what it's been, right? And what we are finding more and more, and what I'm excited about, is that Fort Worth is becoming a different place, in a more multifaceted place where people from different places are pouring into what this is becoming. And I think that the more people feel like they can be a part, whatever their dream is, whatever their idea of the city that they want to live in, knowing that they can be a part of that story, empowering people to be a part of the story of the future of Fort Worth. You as a leader, I think, you as a leader doing that, making people feel empowered that way, can revolutionize and change the future of our city.
Well, for those that aren't from Fort Worth that are here today to listen, that's a big thing. And I think we're at this taking off point in our city. We were really a small town for a long time. We hovered around 500,000 people for 20 plus years. And now, as the fastest growing city in the country, we're going to surpass 1 million people. So who do you want to be when we grow up? And I love this attitude y'all have exhibited here today of how do you take care of our homegrown talent first, our businesses that need our support. And then to your point, Jonathan, how do you welcome more people? So that's a message I want those that are listening today of come to our city and see what that's about. No matter what your idea is, we want it here in Fort Worth for sure. Any closing thoughts that you want to share today? It's an exciting day to be a part of Southwest Southwest. It's going to get warmer in Austin, I promise. This is not Austin weather. It's like we're cold up here. I was with Mayor Adley last night. He was like, I can't believe this weather. Like, there's one thing you can't control, Mayor Adley, and that would be the weather in Austin. But this is an incredible conference. It has been for years. The creative spirit is alive and well in Texas. Give us some closing thoughts as we watch the barbecue fall out here.
I'm excited about the future of Fort Worth. The city, it's growing. It's becoming a place that I feel more and more proud of to be from and to represent, tell people about wherever I go. And so being a part of that, and even just to like looking out today, like you all want to be a part of what's happening in Fort Worth, and it's inspiring.
Yeah, I think that this is important. I think that the fact that Fort Worth thinks it's important enough to show up to something to say, hey, this is who we are, these are the people that represent Fort Worth is super cool. And I started a new business last year that will bring thousands of people to Fort Worth every year for education. And I'm super excited and proud of it. We bring CEOs of billion-dollar businesses to town, and I'm like, we're going to take you out to dinner here. We're going to go to the stockyards. We're going to go do all these really cool things.
And Hotel Drive.
And, we're going to end up at the Hotel Drive, right? And it's just really, it's really fun. It's really cool because we go to some really stale places when I travel. And I'm just really excited about Fort Worth. We do cool things. We have cool things. We've got an amazing culture. So thank you for leading us. And thank you for inviting us here.
I just want to say I'm happy to be home.
Well, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much for listening today. And thanks to Visit Fort Worth, to Bob Jamison and your entire team. You've done it really well. Awesome. I got to brag last night. I brought a few mayors from across the country to show off. And even the mayor of Miami, that's a pretty fun city, was like, damn, this is a pretty cool place to be, right? Fort Worth House. So we've impressed the right people for sure. Thank y'all so much for having us. Appreciate you.